We've confirmed on resolution number 10 about the Airforce detainees, inmates.
Yes.
It's not going to be some guy who tries to blow up our air base in Kandahar is going to be Freeholder. These are personnel.
These would only be personnel. I did check with them, so
No
I should
enemy
confirm that.
combatants.
No.
Okay.
Just
Just want to make sure.
Clarify, it's true.
After your
So it says civilian detainees.
Well, it would also be if there were civilian employees, because they're not all Air Force employees. There are,
Just want to make
well,
sure.
not all military, there are civilian employees as well, and in the event that there was
No combatants.
no combatants, yes, sir.
While we're talking about resolution 10, I have serious concerns about it because according to the statistics that were provided by the finance department, it's costing us between salaries over time, pensions, FICA, insurance, accumulated leave compensation, direct costs, and also indirect costs. It's costing the county $179, projected for 2010, $179.70 a day to house these prisoners for which we are going to be paid $105. It doesn't sound like the taxpayers are getting too good a deal here, and I believe that we can negotiate a better deal with the Air Force and perhaps with ICE and other entities, so I will be opposing this resolution.
So you're opposed to the amount of money?
Yeah, I mean, I think
We
it is,
negotiate a higher.
absolutely.
What does it cost us to house a prisoner?
$179.70 a day.
179?
How did we come up with 105?
I don't think we do.
I think that's a historical figure, and I don't think we've actually examined the direct and indirect costs in detail and had a recent negotiation with either ICE or the Air Force.
Ask the sheriff or-
Madam Director, as you know, the jail review panel that Freeholder D'Amico and yourself sit on, as well as the independent auditor, are reviewing these matters because we're under the same feeling that we could negotiate a better rate on that and just how much the actual cost is. We have numbers from Craig Marshall as well as Business Administrator Jeff Sauter, who's here. Maybe you can shed some light on it. And we have an independent auditor, as you know, so we are reviewing those numbers. I agree with Mr. D'Amico, we should take a closer look, and certainly we're doing that with the jail review panel, because that panel is reviewing not only that privatization question, but the efficiency of the jail as well. So,
Based on what you
Based on that,
said,
do we eliminate it tonight now, or agenda tonight?
just, if I may, anything to add?
Can you get back to the brewers by the next meeting?
Well, the question is how long will the negotiation take, and do we have all the data?
Yeah, I think Business Administrator Jeff Sauter
maybe
can.
just sort of.
The per diem rate, as the sheriff alluded to, that's something that we negotiated and the warden negotiated a few years back, that 105 rate that we started established with the U.S. Marshals, then it moved over to the ICE, the other federal agencies that we did, and then eventually the U.S. Air Force came to that as well. But as the sheriff just alluded to, that is something that I know and that I'm part of directly, the subcommittee for the jail evaluation task force that addressing the finances will be looking at that specific issue of the per diem rate and really the housing and whether it's feasible and appropriate maybe to even house per diem inmates, let alone then discussing what the appropriate rate may be or a fair rate. But it really comes down to, without belaboring on this point here, negotiations and what we're able to get. It's really a market economy, and we try to get the best that we can without allowing them to then just go find bed space at some other facility in some other county. And if we have the vacant bed space, and let's just say for a quick example, if we have 66 inmates in a housing unit and we only have 60, we still have to staff it for full operation for those 60. So if we can put one guy in there and make $105 a day, it does make sense to do it.
Well, except that apparently we can negotiate a higher rate.
We can try, absolutely.
That's what we should do.
But if we can try, why is this on the agenda? This is for 5 years. I mean, this resolution that I'm looking at here reads from July 2nd, 2010 to July 1st, 2015. So why don't we lock ourselves in?
It has a cancellation clause in it that we can cancel it as needed within, I think it's a 30-day cancellation notice if either party wants to cancel for any reason whatsoever.
We absolutely did negotiate that. We absolutely did negotiate a cancellation clause in the event that we wanted to either stop housing those inmates or renegotiate
Jeff,
some way.
let me ask you this. The number of freeholders we go quoted as the daily rate to oversee these prisoners. If you were to bring in more prisoners at the 105, are you gonna have to staff up, or are we paying those people that are already there that can already oversee this, so it doesn't cost any additional money?
No.
So
Not
we're,
for
so
staffing.
what are we making up, we're still paying $178 for our guards, for the inmates. So they're there, whether the inmates or not. I mean, there's other inmates, obviously. So if you bring in at 105, you're making 105 that you wouldn't be making anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's some minor little costs for meal charges at $1.50 a meal. You know, those little really small amounts that would be an additional cost, but as you alluded to, Freeholder, that
So
those
say
are
that's
the costs.
$5 a day, there's 3 meals or whatever the number was.
Yeah.
So $100. So if we were to not adopt this contract, we'd be losing $100 per inmate a day. Because you're still paying those guards to be there to oversee, say there's 50 inmates that they're overseeing, where now they can oversee an additional 50. So there's no additional cost on
Aren't we
that.
just?
No, I just want to clarify
Yeah.
that the number of freeholders to be quoted is not going to disappear if we don't bring in these Airforce.
Well, we have only a couple of Airforce prisons. We also have about 300 ICE inmates. So you're talking about a question of whether it makes sense to continue whole wings or.
No, I still think we ought to renegotiate, but I just want
That's
to,
the point. We're gonna try and renegotiate.
but that fixed cost, those guards are already there at that rate. So unless you're going to bring in hundreds of more Airforce prisoners, you're not going to see a spike in your
Or
cost.
reduce the number of corrections officers.
This is the rate that the warden and I both feel that is a fair rate that we're going to be able to get from them. Absolutely, we can go back and try to get more, and they may say, thanks, we'll take our business elsewhere.
Has the Air Force already agreed to?
To this rate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the ICE contract, though, has expired as well, hasn't it?
No.
Or it's due for renegotiation.
No, the ICE contract is, it's not up for renewal currently. We have a contract with
But it has a provision in it for an adjustment of the rate after a certain period of time. Isn't it?
Oh, we can probably at any stage go back and try to renegotiate in another rate or cancel them altogether.
Look at that, too.
Okay.
Yeah, and those make more sense because they do, like if you take, for example, the ICE, because then they take up an entire housing unit. So if you close an entire housing unit, which I know we're going to be crunching through our subcommittee, is what the costs we'd be saving if we close a housing unit compared to what revenue we lose as
Do we have any
a
Air Force prisoners now?
We have one, I think, as of today. And it's usually only one. I think at max they may go up to 2 or 3. Very few.
So by not signing this today, we're not losing revenue.
Well, the
Significant amount of
The
revenue.
current agreement.
No, we're not
continues.
losing a significant amount.
So the current agreement
So we
is
got-
advisable?
Yeah.
Let's try to squeeze some more money out of here.
Yeah,
Take a look.
Okay.
well, that's the idea. Let's see if we can do it.
Let's hold it.
We'll hold it.